Welcome back to Philly Sports Talk. Nick Foles at practice before he leads the team on to the tundra, if you will, come Sunday at 1 o'clock against the Texans. Getting loose for the second straight week, looking to get another victory for the Eagles as they make a push towards the playoffs. And how about this? Chris Long in his locker, I guess it couldn't hurt, builds a shrine to Nick Foles. In his locker, you see Fletcher Cox doing the honors of actually lighting the candles for the Shrine O' Foles at Chris Long's locker at the NovaCare complex. I guess it's a little odd, though, that they go with the Rams picture of Nick Foles.
I was stunned.
Not exactly his best years, John.
Well, I think Chris Long was with Nick Foles in St. Louis, right? But he was also with them here to win a Super Bowl. So maybe they'll replace that tomorrow.
Maybe he took that photo while he was on the sideline with the Rams.
Because he beat the Rams Sunday.
There you go. That's a good call.
That's the best I got.
Quite possibly.
That is a shrine.
Ruben Frank of NBCSportsPhiladelphia.com and the My Teams app joins us right now to talk a little bit more on those Eagles. So how confident are you, Ruben, going into a second straight week of Nick Foles that he could lead this Eagles team to a win?
I'm not confident at all.
After seeing the candles,
no, yeah,
all right, thanks for watching, everybody.
No, you guys know I'm a big Nick Foles guy, and that's what he does. He wins. And, you know, it's kind of funny, like he didn't have a touchdown pass, had an interception, bad interception in the red zone. Carson throws 3 touchdowns and no interceptions. Everyone says how he stinks. And Nick has this game where, well, what he did was he got the ball down the field. He'll give him a chance to win, and that's what he always does. You know, there's really very few games. There was a couple in 2014, but really since he's been here, even in 2012 as a rookie when he played, I mean, he gives you a chance to win every game. And his highs are really high. His lows, you know, are pretty ugly. But lately it's been mainly highs.
The amazing thing...
I'm a big Nick Foles guy.
Yeah, and the amazing thing to me is I guess, the perception of him around the country, because as soon as it was announced that Carson's out against the Rams in L.A., the line goes to 13-point underdogs. The guy was 14-5 under Chip Kelly, Pro Bowl and playoffs, and he trades him for Sam freaking Bradford. Okay, then he comes back here, wins the Super Bowl in a game that I don't think we quite understand. Like, he beat Tom Brady when Tom Brady threw for over 500 yards. Super Bowl MVP, didn't demand a trade. Right? Didn't demand a trade. He's back as a backup. All he's won is 21 of his last 27 Eagles starts. You take out that Cowboys game that didn't matter at the end. It's amazing what he's done, and he's so calm and so grounded through everything.
I think a big part of it is that he was a third-round pick to start. I think if he was the 1 and Carson was the 3, I think a lot of it would be different. I think you're perceived a certain way when you're not that first-round pick, and most great quarterbacks are 1s. I think a lot of it also is, you know, his personality, like you said. I mean, he doesn't carry himself like a superstar. He doesn't behave like a superstar. You know, I mean, you know, I see him in the hallway at the NovaCare, and he's like, "Hey, Rube, how's your mom? You know, how's your mom doing?" You know, he's just like this guy. You know, you see Tom Brady and Drew Brees. These guys like have that aura. You know, even Carson kind of has that aura.
He's a Type A personality. Yeah. You'd figure like a guy who's Super Bowl MVP would go in. I demand a trade. I want to start.
No, he did the exact opposite of that. He even talked about at length how many times this was Carson Wentz's team. Yeah, he was the guy that was the quarterback at the Super Bowl, but this is also a guy that while he was on the podium or on the stage at the Super Bowl getting the trophy, the Lombardi trophy, he's handing it to Carson Wentz saying, hey, this is going to be yours next year. Now, let's get into this because a lot of people are talking about this, and it's also our pick and click poll question brought to you by Turnersville Auto Mall. Healthy Carson Wentz, healthy Nick Foles. John, will start with you. Who are you starting on Sunday against the Texans?
Well, look, it's an interesting situation. Like, I'm told that it is a small stress fracture. And I'm told Carson feels good. I'm told that, like, he feels good. The back is better, you know. But they want him to be right. The Eagles are erring on the side of caution. They want him to get completely right. It's going to be real interesting if the Eagles win the next 2 games and they're going to the playoffs. And Carson says, look, I want to be out there. He wants to be out there right now. But they've had doctors, multiple doctors, say, we believe rest is best right now. It's a fascinating situation because this is your franchise quarterback, and if he comes to everybody in the organization and says, I need to play, what happens in the playoffs? Because he's feeling pretty darn good right now. And the risk is not that great. It's a stress fracture. It's not that great of him being re-injured. The organization right now siding on the side of caution, erring on the side of caution. So it's a fascinating situation.
And there's also the...
And I didn't answer the question, but Nick Foles, right now...
Don't worry, John.
Nick Foles right now, because of Carson coming back from the knee surgery and then having the back issues, maybe Nick Foles right now gives you the best chance.
If Carson's healthy, I'm starting Carson.
I agree.
Period.
I agree. If he's 100% healthy.
If he's 100%.
Right.
We've seen him play. I mean, Nick at his best is, you know, he's a Super Bowl MVP, and we saw what he did in 13. But Carson at his best, I mean, you look what he did when he was healthy last year. So if I'm confident that's the Carson Wentz I'm going to get, he can move around, his back's not bothering him, he can set his feet, he can plant, he can run, he can move in the pocket, he can do all the things that make him a great quarterback, then he's playing.
Right.
But if it's anything less than that, then I'm playing.
But listen, you know, with the offense, with his back issue and maybe, you know, still adjusting to the knee, he wasn't getting that ball down the field and just throw it up for Alshon Jeffrey. I think defenses say, you know what? I'll take those 9, 10, 11-yard passes to Zach Ertz because we're keeping you in front of us. It's those Alshon throws, in the Rams game especially, that kill a defense.
Sure.
And I don't know if Carson is completely confident or comfortable throwing the ball down the field
See,
like
that's
that.
where
Right.
Look at the Jacksonville game. He had like 5 completions of 32 yards.
Yeah,
So,
but
I
I
mean,
think
we've seen it at times.
I think the back got a little worse after that. I think, and you could see.
I think that's what it was.
Yeah.
So that's why if the back's healthy, I'm playing him.
So when you look at healthy, that's the thing, because I think he is. I think he can be 100% healthy, and if you're telling me it can't get worse, then great. But talking about the
Small
back
risk,
injury,
small.
but if
Smaller.
you're looking at it from really the whole angle, right? Looking at it from outside, right? What you're looking at is how Carson Wentz could not get back to that level of play that he was at last year because of the injury. One game against the Jags, yeah, you were able to spread the ball around a little bit more. The numbers have been there with Carson Wentz, but what worries me is that mentally, for whatever reason, he either wasn't over the knee injury or the back injury was hindering. So to me, I don't know if he can get back 100% to not only just be healthy physically, but also mentally be healthy.
Yeah, and I agree. And look, there might be a connection if he's not planting as much on the injured knee. Maybe it puts more stress on your back. That could be it. But look, Carson Wentz has worked his butt off through all of this. And look, they erred on the side of caution, not starting him the first couple games, and they are really erring on the side of caution now because I think Carson believes, or I believe Carson thinks that he can play through this. But they're like, you know what? You're our franchise quarterback, and we want you to come back next year 100% right. We don't want to have that tiny chance of you hurting your back more, and then you're not right. They want to get him 100% right. And it's an interesting situation because, you know, Carson wants to be out there.
Yeah, and then you have like all these things like what if Nick gets you into the playoffs, then you go to Carson and he plays poorly?
Right.
Or, you know, what if Nick keeps playing and he wins a couple playoff games and plays at a really high level? I mean, there's a lot of things to consider here.
Absolutely. Now, when you look at Carson Wentz, though, Rube, I mean,
It's pretty good to have this conversation when, you know, at one point with the franchise, it was like, you know, Jeff Kemp or David Arthur. Who are you going to keep?
Right, and it's not like Flyers goalies where you're like, all right, we need to go to 6.
No,
Two different
Pretty
goalies.
good quarterbacks.
Yeah,
we're set now for the next 30 years, I think, with Carter Hart. I think that's how long he can play when you're that young. But no, in all seriousness, Rube, the word we kept hearing from Doug Peterson was evolved. The injury with Carson Wentz evolved. So if the story coming out now is that it can't get worse, how are they so
No,
sure?
I didn't say that.
But
it can. It can.
Okay.
And for a while, all that was showing, I'm told, all that was showing up was stress reaction.
Okay.
That can lead to a fracture, or it maybe won't. But, you know, obviously, if you're out on the field, a stress reaction can lead to a stress fracture. And it's not as bad as it sounds. Like when they say a fractured vertebra, that's not it. I've had the same thing. It's just from twerking, and the muscle pulls off the bone.
Twerking? You got hurt twerking?
Did I say twerking?
I think
twerking.
Twerking.
Oh, geez, you're going to put
more on that in the next segment with John Clark.
They don't want to see it. They don't want to see it. But look, you know, the point is that, you know, he played through it because it didn't hurt as much. It affected him. But then once it becomes a small fracture, you don't want it to worsen. Now, the risk isn't like tremendous that it's going to worsen or that he would be damaged severely. And, you know, he doesn't have to have surgery, but you want to get him 100% right.
And you can see it affect his play, I think, more and more. I think over the last month, I think you could really start to see it affecting him more.
All right, John Clark, thank you so much for stopping by. As per
Hospital
usual,
Johnny, Airport Johnny.
Airport John,
Dr.
Hospital
Johnny.
Johnny, twerking Johnny. We don't know. It just covers everything.
I can't believe I said that.